Say hi to everybody. Hi. Hi, everybody. This is my dog. Oh, Tail. She's a good dog. So this is my first video vlog, whatever they're called, attempt. I'm going to do a little informational video on these pieces of junk. There you go. This one of these pieces of junk made by Dewalt. So this is an homage video to a guy I've been following on YouTube for the last couple weeks now. I think he's the coolest guy I've ever seen on YouTube. I like the way he reviews tools. I like the way he works. I can see him and I probably have a lot in common. So anyway, this is the Dewalt cordless pinner, 18 gauge. It's got part number somewhere on it here on the magazine. It's a DCN680 Type 1. So I don't know if there's anybody on earth that puts them to the abuse that the guys I work with do, but we go through a lot of these. We burn them out. We use them up. Originally we were sending them to Walt because they have a 3-year warranty, and they'd say, well, this is a worn out machine. This is not warranty. So then we'd send it back and they'd say, well, we got it working again, but it's going to be umpteen $100 of parts. So since it's my job to fix things here, I would ask them, well, what parts did you put in it? And they wouldn't tell me. So I had to do all my homework and finally figured out that the drivers were wearing out. And even though they look good, still lots of tip left on it. Focus, you fuck. So they look like they should be good, and they're not bent. Everything else seems to be looking fine. But then I started looking at the new part and trying to figure out how these things worked. And I found, if you can see, my fingers out of the way. Looking down the edge here, we got a couple razor sharp down by my hand there, right up here. So it's really shiny there, really shiny. So I got thinking to myself, well, the new parts, pretty beefy there, pretty beefy, not skinny at all. So then I started looking at the way this thing worked, and the motor here spins up really fast. I guess it'd go that way. Spins up really fast once you've made contact here. Once this switch, once the linkage, once you've passed this first security, pressing this in, which in turn does that little dog leg there, hitting a little switch down in there on the circuit board. And that makes the motor, you know what's better than telling me is he's showing you. Hold on a sec. I'm going to put a battery in this thing, and I'm going to, no, let me get back to you. I'll get it back together and show you how it works. But maybe I'll chop this up and edit it. Maybe I won't. So I got ahead of myself. I should have started at the very beginning with it fully assembled. I'll get back to you. Okay, here we go. We're back together. We got a driver in there, so I can demonstrate. I don't know how he does this. Let's see. I need a stand to put this phone on. This is harder than I thought. So anyway, this is the tool we're looking at right here. This is what it looks like when you pull all this safety stuff off. Junk. So anyhow, I've put a new driver in it, as I was trying to tell you in the previous video. The drivers wear out. Even though they look fine, they get worn out. So you put a battery in it and you bypass the safety here by just pressing the button here. And then you pull the trigger. Let me see if I can sit this thing. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Can you see? Can you see? Oh, you can sort of see. So, I'm going to bypass all the safety and I'll pull the trigger. It fires every time. Before I put the new driver in, it would just click, 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 wouldn't fire. And I'm pretty sure I've got one around here. I can demonstrate that. Maybe I'll chop the video up and edit it so you can see. But let me get this back together and maybe I'll shoot video 1 in this series in my 3rd video. Alrighty. Here we are in the 3rd part of this video. It's not so much as a review, it's more of a instructional video, I suppose. If you got one of these pinners, the Dewalt DCN680, and you have a no fire situation, you can hear the motor running and it just clicks. Chances are it's your driver. It's most common wear part on it. So to change out the driver, it's pretty simple. You simply just remove all the screws in it, pull the 2 halves apart. Careful of the little spring down here for the selector switch. Once it's open, these 2 halves come apart. Yeah. Somehow get completely out of its cheap-ass plastic tabs. Springs go flying. So if anybody's interested, this is the clamshell half. It's not particularly impressive. Pretty plasticky sounding, not a lot of gusseting. I guess lightweight is the name of the game. It's pretty light. So the way this thing operates is once you pull the trigger, once you press the tip down, it actuates this linkage, which hits this switch on this motor telling, or on this control board right back in here. AVE could probably tell you more about this control board than I can. That seems to be what he knows, one of the many things he knows a lot about. But there's a little button on the control board. But this little dog leg, which is another part that wears out. I can show you how to replace that if you'd like. Comment down below. And so now that I've got 2 hands, let me show you what I was talking about. You can plug it in, don't short it out. Yeah, I know, metal worktop bench, not ideal. Got my gloves on, safety 2nd or 3rd. So once the battery's in, you can depress the tip or bypass the tip and just hit this dog leg and the trigger should fire it. Depending on which position you have the switch in is how it's going to react, how many times you can fire it. So what's happening here, can unplug it now. What's happening in this thing is when you press this button, it tells the controller that you've got bullets in it, because it won't, the tip won't depress with no pins in it. So you can open it, or you can put pins in it, or you can, oops, losing shit. Or you can bypass it and press the button there. That tells the motor all the safeties are in place and the motor can run. Can't tell you how many RPMs this thing runs at right now, but it goes fast enough to throw this thing. It's got a little bit of inertia to it, but not much. Throw this thing all the way down, hitting the pin, driving it right in. So the way that happens is there's a solenoid up top here. The solenoid, when the trigger is pulled, the solenoid pulls back, driving this that's suspended in here down into these little grooves on the motor, upside down into the motor. So this is the sacrificial part. This will eventually wear out because there's no lubrication because you want as much traction as you can get. I've replaced a couple motors. They're kind of pricey, but probably way less than half the price of the replacement of these. So after a couple 100,000 shots of these, especially after rapid fire, it gets pretty warm and it starts to wear metal really quickly. And you might be able to see right there how shiny that is and how thin they get, how pointy they get. So when this thing just goes click, it's usually this. Other things that wear out, like I was saying, this little dog leg here wears out. It becomes out around right there. So when you press this, it's not actuating far enough to click that little micro switch in there. These are cheap. There's a trick to replacing them. Normally what you'd have to do is pull this back half off, and that's how you get your driver out through there. Once the back half is out, you can slide this control port out, unplug it, unscrew the 3 connections there, and then unfangle this. Now, I found a quicker way to do it. Give me a flathead screwdriver. This will actually flex up enough that you can actually get past it. Do it on the top side so it's not in your way. Flex that up, get this over here, and there. Now it's out. So you might be able to see, I gotta work on my lighting and my rig here, but this little part here gets out around. It's softer than this part, which is a composite. This is just a nylon of some sort. I'm sure AV will tell you all sorts about it. All I've got is a part number on it, but it wears out. It's like a couple dollars for this part. It's pretty simple to put back in reverse order. Flex that up, get it into your hole over top, pop it up over top of the micro switch casing, and pop her down. And she's back together. So I guess that's the end of this video, and once I edit it all up, the final video will be back together, and I'll show you it operating. Alright, so all back together. Here's our test video. Little jam up. Those nails, sinking them pretty far. Your adjustments right here. Back it off a bit. Looks good. Okay. I don't know if I'll edit this or if I'll just send it out as a bunch of different videos linking them together. I'm not a videographer. Not yet. So this is just a footnote to the video there. If you guys liked what you saw and there's any tool you'd like seeing torn down or any repair done, put in a request. I'll read the comments down below. We've got parts to pass load, Hitachi, Makita, Bostitch, Dewalt, electric, battery powered, cordless powered, pneumatic. If you have any tools that you're wondering how they work or how to do a teardown on them, how to rebuild them, or anything, just put down in the comments below. I'd be happy to grab something off the shelf and tear it apart and show you guys how it works. Or if you're having trouble getting it back together, some little trick I could teach you, I'd be happy to. I've got a pretty good arsenal of tools, and pretty much have to work on them all daily. So thanks for watching again, and leave your comments below. Until then, don't put your dick in a vise.